every week, if you add up the airtime for the Limbaughs, Hannitys, Savages, Valentines, and Gills, there's somewhere near 250 hours a week of hard right, pro-corporate talk radio in this town. And like Goebel said, the more you repeat something, the more people believe it. So we need to get some other messages, some other voices out there to combat this, because I don't think they're working in the interest of us or the American people or, democracy or anything,
Absolutely. But, well, you know what? Going on that topic now, I want to talk about this. The light at the end of that tunnel, and I actually had this conversation recently with a person that is involved with radio over at Clear Channel. Those kind of voices are really sort of getting phased out now. I mean, Limbaugh is I'm losing more and more every day.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn Beck is already...
Yeah, with his statements. No, but I do think you're right. That they're so shrill and they're so extreme. And as stuff happens, I think people are looking at things and going... I know I don't like this, but the reason you're saying it's happening is not true,
Right. Well, not just that, but their main core is getting older and older.
Yeah,
where,
that's true too.
They're not really just tuning in that much anymore. Mm-hmm. And they're doing nothing to reinvent themselves or appeal to younger people. I remember, I heard, I know that Fox is an older white demographic, but I've heard the median age for a Fox viewer is well into the 60s. Yes.
And I didn't realize, quite realize it was that pronounced, what you're saying. I mean, the audience, the demographic,
Well, and they keep losing advertisers. I mean, that's the big thing, too. I mean, Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck, this whole, shock thing that they've been trying to pull off, it's now backfiring. I think what that says in the big scheme of things, a lot in this certain gentleman who I'm not allowed to get into specifics about who it is. He made that clear. He's like, you can't tell anyone that we had this conversation about the state of radio or my.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're
my
worried.
Overlords may axe me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm
right.
sure. They can be pretty nasty.
But he said he totally does see radio reverting back to what we're doing here, because I was telling him about Radio Free Nashville and how exciting it is and how happy I am to be a part of things, and how I really don't hope that I show up late to my show tomorrow. I was telling him all those things.
So when did you actually hit the highway, Ron? Just out of curiosity.
I hit the highway early enough, but then I hit some traffic.
But you left in the middle. You would have left pretty early in the morning, 3 or 4 a.m. I mean,
no. This was Asheville.
Oh,
yeah,
so no, 5.5?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. I just hit traffic, and I was like, oh, geez, and all of a sudden my ETA was different, and I was like, oh, really? And so gave you a heads up.
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
But yeah, otherwise I would have been fine. But yeah, there was something goofy going on 40 that really set me apart.
Yeah. Anyway,
not here in the eastern part of the sun.
This is very interesting.
Well, he just said that he thinks that all of a sudden now when you see these big advertisers getting away from your Limbaughs and your Glenn Beck, he kind of was off a while ago, and now he's just sort of doing his own thing, whatever. But he said that on the bigger scheme of things, you're kind of seeing the money in radio just sort of not being what it used to be. So you're seeing. He said that eventually you're going to see these big players just kind of drop it all together, and radio's going to go back to what it used to be.
Wow,
and
that's interesting. As somebody from the kind of on the inside,
yeah,
early could see that. Well, you've got to. I think it's only logical when you think about it, Ron, because I mean, it's the same 30, 40, 50, however many songs. It's got no connection to the towns they're in, like we talked about.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
St. Louis or whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's got no connection. It's just kind of out there, and it's the same pablum, and there's more and more commercials. And why? I just think people lose interest. There's nothing interesting on there.
Well, the medium in general is meant to be, to a certain degree, a deliberative medium, and that's why I think that's part of the reason you see podcasts are so popular, and that's why when people say radio is dying, I don't agree with that, and I never will, because I think it's evolving. It's just evolving. The medium's expanding.
Is radio,
right?
I mean, basically,
it still comes down to a spoken voice and just the word,
a disembodied voice.
Yeah, that people
and that's
listen
radio.
to.
I guess you're right.
And to me, that's radio.
You can't really separate the two.
Right. And so it's evolving, and that there's this kind of deliberative way about it. I mean, the reason podcasts are so popular is because the host who has established a fan base is accessible via email, it's accessible via YouTube comment, or maybe even does have the ability to call in. That's all happening. It's been happening. So, it's just a naturally accessible, deliberative, and when I say deliberative, I mean, like for the people, where the people can participate. That's the type of medium it's meant to be. So it only makes sense that for its true survival, both on the terrestrial dial and with new media, lies in going kind of back to the community-driven medium that it was meant to be and that it should be.